Welcome back to Trip Talk Tech. We got another super dope show lined up for y'all today, continuing our monthly mental health check segment with our honored co-host of the segment. Please help me welcome to the show my guy, Rashad Bowtie Mills. What's up, man?
What's up, brother? Thank you for having me on.
Hey, as always, man, thank you as always for sharing your time and your wisdom with our audience pro bono. It's always appreciated, and I acknowledge you, brother, and thank and salute you for that, man.
Absolutely.
All right, man. But look, that we're gonna keep this segment short. With that being said, we're gonna jump right in. So I was doing some research, and I know every time I do research, I call you. You know, you like my lifeboat. I got the, I got the talking about looking at sleep and circadian rhythm. I think that's said that right. Circadian rhythm. All right, hold on. Before we go any further, I'll give a disclaimer that this is for informational and educational purposes only. We are not your doctors right now. We're doing this all on the arm. We're having some fun. So, when I did the research on sleep and circadian rhythm, I was blown away how they were saying like one day of lack of sleep can actually just throw you off like mentally for the week. And then they were saying that and I got a little scared because you know, I don't get a lot of sleep. So
Mm.
they said anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of sleep, you should be good. Anything after that, they said leads to about 4 times the likelihood of you getting depression or anxiety. And then they said on top of that, the facts state from sleep experts that 65% of all Americans go figure, don't get enough sleep. So does that mean that we all just walking around as messed up zombies here, or you know we got I don't know, because see, we got this grind mentality. So I think everybody feels that kind of, well, not everybody, but 65% of the people out here feels that lack of sleep. And I think with all those facts, the question is, within your practice, have you seen kind of that connection between, sleep, depression, anxiety? Have you seen kind of that
Absolutely.
intersection?
Absolutely. So this is actually a great time for me to be honest. It's a great topic, right? It's always a great topic talking about sleep
Hmm.
because one of the things that I truly believe that most of us don't get enough quality sleep, right? We just don't. And I think it's the contributing factors of the following that most of us are in what you said, sort of this grind like mentality, right? We have to grind. That often leads to us not placing enough emphasis and priority on what? Sleep.
Sleep.
So if I am grinding, let's just take a week for an example. Let's take a week that starts on Sunday and ends on Sunday. Hey, I'm
Hmm.
grinding, whatever that looks like. I'm getting up early to go to work if I'm still doing it in the office or working from home. I have to take, kids to camp, school, whatever that looks like. And I'm just really grinding, right? And I do this all week. And let's say I'm averaging 5 hours of sleep because I'm in this grind. Some people are actually averaging less sleep than that. And the
Hmm.
mentality is, I have to make it, I have to make it, right? Which understandable. Everybody has a goal, and everybody wants to get to quote unquote this next level.
Yep.
However, what happens is you're grinding throughout the course of this week, and then your body now becomes accustomed to operating on less than. And I think people don't realize if your body becomes used to operating on less than, then you're deficient in other areas, right? There's going to be a deficiency in certain things, right? Um, I would just say your natural ability to function, and when I say function, right, how you think throughout the course of the week is impacted by sleep, right? We talk about mental health, we talk about anxiety and depression. Now, here's the thing: a lot of people, when they are depressed or they are anxious, one of the questions that mental health therapists like myself will always ask if I'm seeing a new client, there's a depression scale or an anxiety scale. And one of those questions is always going to be surrounded, how much do you sleep? Some people that are depressed, they sleep too much or too little. People that are anxious, maybe they're sleeping too much or too little. Now, from my time being a therapist, I often see that with depression, some people can sleep a lot when they are depressed, but it's not necessarily quality of sleep. It's more of a fatigue that the depression is causing as opposed to just lacking sleep, right?
Gotcha.
Because somebody that's depressed can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up, and they're very, I don't want to use the word fatigue because that's more of what the body.
A little lethargic, and it's funny you say that. Because I think in some of the research, it's a difference in the sleep. You have
Yes,
REM sleep and non-REM,
yes,
and that's the rapid eye movement. So
yep.
I think rapid eye movement, you're sleep, but you're not in that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So it's actually four different stages of REM. I was actually reading it today. But
Okay.
going back to it, so when we talk about depression, somebody can sleep for 8 hours a day, but
Mhm.
it's not necessarily a sleep that they're going to wake up and feel revived. It's the mental health part of it that now is affecting the physical part of it, which means, you know what, the mental health is draining on me so much that I'm going to feel fatigued and lethargic throughout the course of a day. Now, anxiety can cause an individual not to sleep. You're really anxious, the mind is racing, you may sleep for a few hours, and then you potentially could be up throughout the course of the night. So sleep is very important. So, throughout the course of this week, I'm grinding, and it just impacts a bunch. I think that it impacts people more than what they realize, right? Physical health. Some people are exhausted. You can't get a good workout in. The last thing that you want to do is incorporate physical movement into your day because you're exhausted. If you have kids, your communication with them and how involved you are with them, a wife, kids, that's going to be impacted because you're not operating at the maximum level that you possibly can. Now, I'm going to be honest.
Mhm.
Hopefully, your listeners can feel this. About 2 weeks ago, I was going through something which I just shared with you before we got on air that
Mhm.
has had me really anxious. And I know one night that I literally couldn't sleep. Got up, read the Bible, found myself on the internet, like went out on my porch. I did everything, but I just couldn't sleep. And that night, I know I slept no more than 3 hours.
Okay.
So the next day, I am dragging throughout the course of the day. So that next day, about 7 o'clock, I said I have to shut it down early. I told my kids I have to shut it down early. The next day, I woke up like a completely new person,
Mm.
and I knew why. I had quality of sleep. Now, here's the trick: we can't go with on Monday I sleep 4 hours, and then the hopes on Tuesday that I make it up because a lot of people will do that. All right, well
See, I'm
I'm gonna
about to
get
say now, can I do that and make Wednesday like my
no, no,
makeup
it
day?
just doesn't work. It just doesn't work because your body is not designed to operate on a daily with deficit. So it's equivalent of I missed 2 meals on Monday. Is it okay if I now have five on Tuesday?
That's a good
No,
point. That's a good way to put it.
your body needed that nourishment on Monday, and then Tuesday, it's not that you can make it up with this surplus. And so sleep is really, I mean, it's really, really critical.
Yeah. So it seems like you kind of answered this, I think, already. So if 8 hours is that ideal time, everywhere I read it's like 8 hours ideal, anywhere from 7 to 9. And then I read exactly what you said. You said that a little too less of sleep can cause the depression or anxiety, but then it says also too much sleep. So now you're in this middle ground. And have you seen or had issues with your clients where hey, the ones that slept a little too longer were more depressive in a depressive state, or the ones that couldn't get sleep were more anxious and not, or again, was the depression
It,
and anxiety like the catapult?
Well, the lack of sleep wouldn't lead to depression or anxiety. However,
Okay.
the lack of sleep is it can be a contributing factor. Yes, the lack of sleep
Gotcha.
it contributes. So if a client is diagnosed, with depression and they are not sleeping, then one of the things again they come to me. I'm going to ask, what is your sleeping pattern like? What is your sleeping schedule like? Is it consistent? What's your routine? Because one of the things that we know that if a client is has depression or anxiety or any other mental health challenge for that matter, and then not getting sleep, that lack of sleep only heightens that state that they're in. Now,
Hmm.
getting quality of sleep can certainly help. Absolutely. If I am
Gotcha.
anxious and I can get quality of sleep as opposed to being anxious and not getting sleep, because if I'm not sleeping, then what's being heightened during that time? The anxiety is probably being heightened during that time. But if I can get sleep, then it presents itself in a lot healthier manner.
Got you. So in the research, Deepak Kapoor, I think he's like
Yep.
the meditation guy, and he said that your body is 4 times more restorative as far as like you were saying those functions. I think that just gets restored in your sleep. When we go to sleep at 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. before midnight, right? And he was saying that there's 4 times more restorative every minute before midnight, I guess, because of the circadian rhythms and all of that. And again, to achieve your 8 hours of sleep. Now, my question in that is this, because my son will try to play this game on me. He's the gamer, right? Little young guy. He's a gamer. He wants to get his 8 hours of sleep, but he feels like getting in at 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's the same 8 hours.
He's a slickster. He's a
and,
slickster.
and I'm just asking, like you were saying, as far as that consistent rhythm of the body and how the body works, is it okay to have sleep hygiene? And again, I know people work at night, so you can't get that perfect 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. like Deepak says all the time. But again, have you seen it any difference with people that has that regimen before 12 a.m. sleep maybe better, fair enough with depression and anxiety versus the person that has a little, wake up a little later in the mornings and things like that?
Uh, I don't know if it would be if the sleep hygiene would help for the mental health illness, but I think it's better as it just relates to the sleep. Now, what I mean by that, so if an individual still gets 8 hours, but they go to sleep at 1 a.m. and then on the wake up to 9 a.m., does that make the depression or anxiety better or worse? I don't know because it's still 8 hours of sleep. But I think that having sleep hygiene, when we mean hygiene, I'm talking about like routine, consistency, right? Really paying attention to what works and what doesn't work. I think that's important if you go to sleep at, you know,
Anytime.
12, 12 p.m. or, 12 a.m. Now, I do think it depends on the individual's lifestyle. If you work at night, you talk about your son, he's a gamer. It can work differently for different people, but I think the hygiene is very, very important. I don't think that one day, you go to sleep at 9 p.m. on a Monday night, right? Then the next day you go to sleep at 11:30. I think that that gap is different because I think that the body, whatever your routine is, like your body begins to shut down, and your
Hmm.
body. Let's think of our bodies as just like our bodies are machines. Our bodies are machines, and in this incredible machine that's known as our body, it gets used to certain things. It's habit forming. Our bodies are habitual in nature.
They are.
It's habit forming. And so I know that before 10 o'clock right now, I know my body is shutting down because I've been going to sleep before 10 o'clock for a very long time. I know when I
Mhm.
was getting up at the crack of dawn, training for these long, outrageous runs, I know that at 4 o'clock, my body AM was automatically waking up. My body is not that way at 4 a.m. My body now is at 6 a.m. I'm automatically waking up because why? It's so habit forming. I wake up, kids, and start my day. So our bodies are just like it's a machine. It's like it's
Computers.
yeah, that's what it is. And so I think the sleep hygiene is critical. I'm
It's
gonna
a
be
part of
honest
the
with you.
program. Part of the program, huh?
Even with naps, I
Mm.
think that your body is it's a part of like hygiene. I know on a fall afternoon when football is on,
Hmm.
I know between 2 and 3, I'm going to be out for 45 minutes. I know it, and I'm gonna wake up and catch the fourth quarter of the game. It's like it's. I've been doing it for years,
I
and
told
it's
I
just my
told y'all
body.
I figure out who won the game.
Yeah, my body is just it's accustomed to it. Now listen, if my Philadelphia Eagles are playing, I'm gonna stay up and watch the whole game. But if somebody else is playing,
You
I'm
out,
dozing
huh?
off.
You taking
I'm
that you
dozing
taking that
off. It's
intermission.
natural. It's natural.
Nothing wrong with it. And look, we're about technology here, so again, I was and sometimes technology can work for us and sometimes it can be our worst enemy. And I know, again, I was looking at the again, sleep hygiene, and we'll go through a couple things to go through at the end here, some tips and for better sleep. But in the sleep hygiene, they were talking about blue light emission and how that messes with the melatonin in us that puts us to sleep. So again, looking at our phone 1 to 2 hours before trying to go to sleep, or the
Hmm.
TV itself, um, it kind of messes kind of with us. So, again, in your experience, have you had to kind of tell people put your phone up an hour before you go to sleep or what.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. Now, this is interesting, and I'm actually guilty of this one myself, and I'm taking myself off of this one. I fell asleep with the TV on for years. And my rationale for it is I'm still paying attention somewhat to what actually is going on the TV. And it really is true. Like if I fall asleep, and I fall asleep on a local station and the local news is on, I can wake up and I'll say, "Oh, did this happen?" And it really happened. I mean, it's like I'm somewhat in tune. However, falling asleep with the electronics on, the light from the TV, the phone, that's just not healthy. It's just
Mhm.
not healthy because all of those provide what? It stimulates us. It
Yep.
stimulates the mind. And so now the mind is stimulated, but yet it's like I'm turning on the light, but yet I'm trying to turn off the light at the very same time. And it's too hard of a transitional thing to do. And so now, if I fall asleep with the TV on, if I wake up an hour later, I'm turning the TV off, and I notice the quality of the sleep is a lot better. Here's the catch. A lot of people, when they wake up, we're in a tech savvy world. What is the first thing that we do? We grab our phones and we're scrolling. We're
Mhm.
on IG, we're on Facebook, we're placing things that we don't even buy in our Amazon cart next. And now, guess what? And we get to this rabbit hole, and I know I'm not the only one. You watch one thing on for me, I'm a huge nerd. I'm a reader, right? And I see one thing on Instagram. Oh, and then I'm clicking somebody's link, and then I'm reading something, and then I'm watching a connected video, and then I'm on YouTube, and then I'm actually buying the book. And before I know it, like an hour and a half has passed. And I'm like, wow. And now I'm up.
Yeah.
It's even harder to fall back to sleep.
Yep. I got you, man. Look, you all over it. Hey, look, we're gonna keep this one short, so we'll get out of here right now in a little bit. But any final thoughts on sleep? Any final thoughts on sleep and kind of how it ties in, or your experience with it in mental health therapy?
I would just say that sleep is very, very important. And I think let's say we as a society, we have underestimated the importance of sleep probably since the beginning of time. And I can personally say from clients that I have worked with in the field of mental health for a while and myself, clients have reported a difference when they can actually get consistent quality of sleep. And I know on a personal level, when I get consistent quality sleep, I am a much better person in all aspects of my life. I'm more in tune with everything that I do throughout the course of that day. I am much sharper. Cognitively, I am better, remembering things. So it's just so many things that go along with sleep. And I think that people cannot continually diminish the importance of sleep. And I think we have pushed sleep to the background
Yeah.
and we have moved other things up in terms of health. But sleep is one of those things, it's literally at the forefront. It should be, along with, and I hate to say diet, but along with lifestyle, they should be at the forefront because they're two
Mhm.
things that we can control. We can control what we sleep, we can control what we eat. And I think that in terms of our overall health, sleep is one of those things that we absolutely have control over. And it's just vital for our lives.
So like a true champ, man. And like you said, I think it doesn't get its just due. And I think to your point, we got to create those conditions for the sleep so we can have those routines and have a healthy sleep hygiene. And a couple quick things to try to get there. Number one, like we talked about, go to try to get to bed before 10 p.m. Or again, as Rashad said, kind of a routine. Just whatever that routine is, try to stick to that routine. Try to stick with it because um, I'm just like Rashad. I'm a nerd. We'll put a circadian rhythm wheel up here so you can see at certain times of the day, is certain things going on with your body. So the more fuel you have, probably the better. Number two, room temperature. I was doing some
Mm,
research on that, and they were saying that for your room temperature, if you're an adult, make sure your room, I know it's a little cold, 60 degrees, between 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. For children, we'll put it up on here too, is anywhere from 68 degrees Fahrenheit to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And number three, 1 to 2 hours before you go to sleep, try to cut down the blue light emission as Rashad just explained to us, all of those things pretty much just stimulates the melanin process that's supposed to calm you down and put you to sleep. That hormone and push you to sleep. The blue light messes with it. I think on iPhone we can turn that off. Night shift, I think, is the setting for that. But it takes it down. I don't know if it goes all the way off. You can also probably get the screen protector, the blue light screen protector. I'll try to find one and put it on the screen. And blue blocker glasses. I think you can get them if you must watch TV or if you. I know in our household coming up, it was kind of like what you were saying, Rashad. Like we just kept the TV on for the boogeyman. But if that's one of your cases, you get some blue blocker so you can get some sleep. And I would say just number four, try to do what Rashad and we were just talking about. Try to get a sleep routine. Maybe take a journal. You try to figure it out. Like Rashad said, one day he went to bed early and got up and he did notice a huge difference. So maybe journal your differences to see if you do uh, feel different, feel better, or feel nothing. Do the research. Let us know in the comments below. Rashad, you got anything else for him, bro? What you got coming up? You said you got some things coming up. Tell them about the podcast, about the hit. What's going on, man?
Oh man, the podcast first episode will be dropping next month in August. The name of the podcast is Meet Me at Happy Hour.
Meet me at happy hour. We know how
Yeah,
you do them happy hour Fridays.
yeah, meet me at happy hour. So it's really my story, and I'll have guests on who have gone through things that promoted them to be resilient and overcoming some really adverse conditions. So that's their happy hour. And for those not in the know, obviously, I battled with alcoholism for a long time. So this is my happy hour now. Not the happy hour where I was drinking the shots of Henny, but the happy hour where I'm pouring back into the people. And it will be really dedicated to, again, people who have been able to overcome some things and how they found their happy hour throughout some really traumatic points in their lives. So I'm really excited to have that. And just people follow me on social media if that's your thing. Rashad Bowtie Mills on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Every day on Facebook and YouTube, I'm dropping a motivational message, and then my happy hour messages are every Friday. Every Friday. So go check out today's message, which was titled Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. See, man, we hook y'all up with therapists and a public speaker all in one breath. And y'all got some more dimes, man. Rashad, appreciate you, brother. As always, like I said, we're gonna keep this one short for him. We're gonna give him some heat and then get right out of the kitchen. So, man, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks a lot. Strip
Thank you
Talk
for
Show.
having me, my good brother.
Already know, man.